From the red cliffs to the rolling hills, this is the pulse of Prince Edward Island. Welcome to the Island Dew.
Are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll begin. Welcome to another episode brought to you by the Island Dew. Like the sparkling dew covering our island fields on a crisp morning, the Island Dew platform, including the Exchange podcast, Ideas podcast, and the community call-in programming, is your opportunity to connect with islanders, have a voice, and have your say. Call in, comment, engage, participate. This is your medium, your platform for your voice. We want to hear from you, as the Dew provides local context to island issues and opportunities. We're excited to connect again and bring you perspective of islanders. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. Here comes the Dewdrop. We're ready to launch. T-5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, John, here we are on the eve of this very important by-election.
Yeah.
Cornwall, Meadowbank.
It's a pretty exciting by-election because, this is really a microcosm of what's going on in the island right now in terms of politics. And from this here, it's almost like a crucible, really, where everything is condensed into what's going to happen with the Liberals, the Conservatives, and the Greens. And there's so much at stake here for those three main parties. So that's why this is such a huge by-election right now. And it's, it was a safe Liberal seat until Mark McLean took it. And now we're not quite sure where it's going to go.
And it's not just the people contesting for the seat, which everybody wants. The leaders have a lot at stake, especially Robert Mitchell.
Well, Robert Mitchell's, this second by-election that he's tried to get a seat in the legislature, this is pretty well it for him. If he doesn't win this by-election, then he's pretty well done for as leader, I think. He really doesn't have much of a future. So this is a must-win for the Liberals, for Robert Mitchell. It's also an incredibly important by-election for the Conservatives, for Rob Lance. I mean, this is a test of his leadership. It's been really under fire for months and months now, and people are really wondering whether he can take this party into an election. So there's so much at stake for him. And all spring, we've been hearing just how the Greens have been gaining momentum. Some people are talking or believing that there might be a Green government eventually when there's a general election. So for Matt McFarlane and for Tate Willows, this is a very important by-election for that party. I mean, they can lose and not get hurt too bad, but if they win, that's a tremendous move forward for McFarlane and for his future and for the party. And then it becomes conceivable then that the Greens could form a government.
And some polls recently kind of indicate that is a possibility. Yeah. We should just give people a little bit of an update. I want to thank people for joining in. We're available both on Facebook Live and on YouTube Live. Although looks like we might have an error on the YouTube Live. I think we're facing backwards. So maybe we're just Facebook Live.
All right, that's fine enough.
But just so people are aware of what's happening, we're going to be reviewing the poll results as they come in real time. I want to give a special shout out to Elections PEI because they were very constructive. I know they're working hard to get these votes counted. As soon as the polls close, they're going to have the advance poll presented, and that's pretty important data, as we talked about.
Yep.
That really does indicate who's gotten the vote out and what that might look like. Right now, Tim Garrity, who's the CEO, and Office Coordinator Gabby Boutlier, as well as Paul Allen, I know, are working to get those long lines processed, people waiting to cast their vote. They're just, polls are closed now. And as soon as that data comes in, we're going to put it up behind us and kind of watch things in real time, see it evolve.
Yeah, really looking at the advanced poll, if we get that quickly, then that's going to determine a lot because those will be big numbers, and it'll show the direction of where the parties are going. It shows who's really worked hard to get the votes out. But from the advance, if we get those numbers first, we can pretty well extrapolate from that who's going to win this or who's probably going to win this by-election. So if we get those numbers quickly, it's a pretty important indicator of where this evening is going to go. But this is a big day for everybody. It's pretty exciting by-election.
This is a great by-election.
Because
it's made for TV. It's made for podcasts.
It's going to set the stage for the whole summer and the fall, and just how things will unravel or unfold politically in this island. So it's going to pre-shadow a lot of things. A lot of I keep coming back to the leaderships, and there's a lot on the line for the leaders in this party, in this by-election, particularly for Robert Mitchell, but also for Rob Lance, because there's so much division, apparently so much division within the Conservative Party. I'm sure he's hoping that this by-election will be a fairly solid win for the Conservatives, so something that will bring that party together and stop whatever infighting is going on, because it's been a pretty disruptive time for the Conservatives, and not everybody is happy with Rob Lance's leadership and where this thing is going. So
the Conservatives do like the taste of their own blood, I think, because they have been notorious for eating their young, and maybe there's more of that going on. Now, there's not much chance, I don't think, of a really strong victory at this by-election. We got four parties, three really well-positioned parties.
Yep.
And it's going to be tight. I think it's going to be very close.
That's what it looks like right now. Yeah, and it is going to. That's what I was thinking. Then, whether the traditional Liberals in that riding of that's Ronnie McKinley's old riding, whether the traditional Liberals are going to get out and vote for Robert Mitchell, there's some indication that the Liberal Party may not want to support Robert Mitchell as a leader, so it'd be hard to get rid of him or remove him if he wins this by-election. So
he's a great campaigner.
He is a hard campaigner.
He'll be working hard. He worked hard in Georgetown, came close.
Yeah, he came close in Georgetown. So it's just whether the Liberals will get out and vote and support him, or whether there's an undercurrent there that they don't really want Mitchell for a leader going into the general election. But the same thing can be said about Lance and his candidate. Whether the Conservatives are going to get out to support Lance in this by-election and where the party wants to go. So there's a lot at stake. And then if the Greens have that momentum going with Tate Willows, if that's where it's going. She came
second last election against Mark McLean.
It was a distant second, but it was respectable. And she seems very determined campaigner. So it's
You mentioned a name a moment ago, and we've got a few surprises tonight. Perhaps one of the not best kept secret surprises is connecting with the dean of the legislature, somebody who knows this district probably better than anybody. And we were very fortunate to get Ronnie McKinley available to join our podcast today.
Yeah, if you give him a call, we'll get him on the line. But McKinley held this riding, I think, for 29 years, I believe, something like that.
Longest serving MLA.
Yeah, longest serving MLA. And he did it by, he was just very well liked. He says he treated Liberals and Conservatives fairly when they came to him for wanting jobs or projects approved or help with getting things done. But he was a very down-to-earth and is a very down-to-earth politician. He survived when every Liberal lost.
The only guy that got elected.
One time he was the sole Liberal opposition member in the legislature, and he did a very, very good job, a very commanding job as the sole opposition leader. So McKinley is very wily as well, very astute politician, and he's able to play. He was able to play both sides against everybody, and he was always entertaining. He always wanted the House to be entertaining. So
I think we've lost that style of politician.
Yeah,
Ronnie was one. I don't know if we don't nurture that type of politics anymore. It's a shame.
Yeah, I know. But McKinley always wanted to get some kind of fight or argument going on the floor of the legislature. Him and Bagnall, especially Jim Bagnall, Yeah, I mean, I think of or Richard Brown. It was almost a routine where, they'd start fighting and arguing, and you get everybody in an uproar. But it made for great television when you're watching when they finally televised the House, and it created a fun place to be, a lot of dynamics, and it wasn't that controlled. I mean, McKinley didn't like things being controlled at all.
I'm sure he couldn't control them.
No.
Especially as a sole member, he'd probably do what he wanted.
No, for a long time, he could never make it into cabinet because the feeling was that he just wouldn't be able to control him in cabinet. But yeah, when he finally made it into cabinet, he was very well regarded as cabinet minister. Very, the bureaucrats were afraid of him because he was a smart businessman, farmer, a lot of common sense.
And well-liked.
Yeah, and well-liked. And
so we're here tonight on the Island Do. It's a call-in podcast again, but before we throw that number out for people to call, we do want to call the Dean of the Legislature, Ron McKinley, and we're delighted that he's available. Let's get him on the phone now, and we'll throw that number out. I'm here with John Jeffery, it's Blake Doyle, and we're excited to cover this by-election. As the advanced polls roll in, we'll start to look at each poll number and dissect it, compare it to the last election, and we're happy to report that in real time, but you can listen to this, as many people will, after this broadcast. So let's see if we can get Ronnie on the phone and find out what he's up to.
okay.
Oh,
Hello, Ronnie. This is John Jeffery and Blake Doyle. How you doing?
how are you doing? Good.
So you know this riding better than Cornwall, Meadowbank, better than anybody else, I would think. So where do you see this riding going in this by-election?
Well, I don't know. There's other people know it than me, if not more. When I had a great team with me, they used to say they drug me in 9 times. What? And this is by it's hard to tell. It's going to be hard to tell. I told you before.
Yeah, but I mean, this is the voting is all over. You must have a sense of where it's going or what's going to happen. And we've been just talking about how there is so much at stake for Robert Mitchell and for Rob Lance and the Conservatives and for the Greens. So what's your assessment about how important this by-election is for the major parties?
Well, I think the most important thing is for the girls. She's definitely a candidate, and people like Matt McFarlane come to very intelligent, and I'm telling you what I'm hearing.
You're talking about the Greens.
He's a nice fellow. Huh?
You're talking about the Greens here.
Yeah.
The people like Matt McFarlane and Tate Willows and
Yeah. She's a good girl. Love her. The other candidates, Mitchell's awful well liked. When he ran leadership, how well it was. I know people were up and vote for him, so it's interesting. The candidate, I'm not quite sure. She's a real good resident. It's hard to get a handle on. I know one employee saying that the husband and wife for Mitchell and they're to vote now. Diversity, and they were voting. So, what do you know?
yeah, well,
If
I don't know.
If Ronnie doesn't know what's going on in this district, then we're going to have an interesting night watching these polls close, I think. It's going to be a tight race.
Well, that's what
Well, when the first for the advance in,
yeah, that's
when the
what we
advance
said.
poll,
The advanced poll is going. Those numbers are really important. The first ones.
those numbers are going to be very, but apparently, what was it, 30 voted?
What was
The
that?
ones that get out to the 30% of something population voted.
In the advance poll.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's what I.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's going to be an important poll when it comes in. We're hoping that that comes in first, and that will give us a pretty good indication where this by-election is going.
Mitchell's a tremendous candidate,
Yeah.
and he's got a good team behind him.
Mitchell has to win this by-election, doesn't he?
Well, that'll be up to me.
No, but it's important politically. As politically astute
Well,
as you are, it's an important by-election for him.
it's always important. Everything you go into is very important. It's the Greens, it's important for the Conservatives. There's a lot of, right on this.
Yeah.
So you just can't. It's an election for the three parties. If you go polls, Mitchell win.
Are you hearing much? Are you hearing much in the district, Ronnie? Are all the candidates out working pretty hard to get to the doors? Has it been an active? Summertime's hard to campaign because people aren't that interested in politics. But
working. The three candidates are working there,
okay,
and even Matt McFarland, he was a lot with his. Whether the public, some talk, it could be a government, but what's their policies, and it's got to be straightened out too. It's all right. It looks good, but you don't know.
You're talking about.
I went into.
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember that the government in power can call the election. So lots they called them and they lost. Look at Pat Binns when he called. I tell you,
term,
but went into for Trent when the election was called. We formed the government, and look what we did. We found out at the doors, and we all met, and Robert Giz had us. We all met and said, Ronnie, we don't want to hear from you because everything's good. What are you hearing? And everybody said they couldn't believe it at the doors. And, well, yeah, that's the way it is.
No. Well, that changed. So for Robert Giz, and then you moved in with Wade McLaughlin. You became premier, and he only lasted one term, and that was it for him. And then the parties changed. Dennis King became premier.
Yeah, well, Dennis was a good community, well liked, and he was a team. Yeah, I know he could everything. He's a nice guy.
Okay, so what about Rob Lance? You're familiar with Rob Lance. I mean, he did run.
Yeah.
Ran an election against Robert Giz and lost his own seat, and now has come back, leader of the party, without going to a general election yet.
Yeah, and Rob to meet the fella, he's a fine fella, and he's out around. They're all working hard. Nobody's sleeping, I'll tell you that. The three.
Yeah. Okay, Ronnie, we're going to wait and see what happens tonight.
All right.
Let's just see how strong the Green Party is. Good talking to you again.
Great to hear from you, and thanks for your perspective on this very important District 16 Cornwall Meadowbank by-election. Nobody knows it better than you, Ron McKinley. Really pleased.
I wouldn't say that.
Well, I've seen Facebook. Every candidate is coming to your door to meet you and get your blessing, and they're publishing the photos. So you have still got a lot of pull in that district.
I don't know. Wouldn't be much pull the three candidates are all there. My picture, so you know,
Maybe they want you to
Anyway.
run again. Maybe they'll be looking for you to run for the next general election, depending on how this turns
I
out.
don't think so. My time.
Well,
Okay.
Yeah.
thank you so much
All
for
right.
your
I
time.
went in with the gizzards and I went out with the gizzards.
Yep.
I retired. Okay.
Appreciate you
Good.
Good
being
talking
free.
to you, Ronnie.
Bye.
Thank you, Ronnie. Well, we've got some people. Texts are coming in. There's a young guy you would know well, Jordan Fraser, who's traveling, and he's watching this live from wherever it is that he's traveling. So
Jordan's always traveling.
we've got a wide audience, and we're picking us up on Facebook Live, and they're glad to see you back in the political chair. So it's good to
It
have
would
you
be
back.
interesting to hear what Jordan's thoughts are on this. I mean, he was a very active conservative member, a young conservative member for a long time. Not so active lately, but he certainly knows the party.
You know, he could be like myself. I'm a political ideologue refugee. I don't seem to have a party that aligns
What they
with
do?
my...
They kick you out of the party?
It seems like maybe that's what's happened. There's a few of us, I guess. But anyhow, we're getting close probably to the point where I guess there's some lineups still at the polls. Elections PEI have to clear those lines, get all the votes in before they can announce the advanced polls, which are going to be really important, as you said.
Yeah. Well, we should be getting close to getting some first poll numbers in here. So it's always exciting to see the first numbers because, you know, that's sort of like a mini poll. I mean, we've seen public opinion polls, but when you see the first one or two actual polls coming in of people voting, then that gives you a much better sense of where the strength is for which party, you know, and where it's going. It could be over very fast, or it could be a long session for this by-election. But yeah.
Well, there's people counting. They've got the entire election PEI team on right now counting. So we did want to
I
give
think
this.
we have to hear from people too about. I mean, just to call in and tell us just how important they think this by-election is. You know, I'm saying that it's going to be a forerunner or foreshadow what's going to happen politically in this province in the next 6 months. You know, so it's going to indicate what will happen to internally within the Liberal Party and the Conservative Party, what Lance's future is going to be, where Robert Mitchell may or may not end up, and you know whether the Greens are really
Is the
gaining
momentum,
strength.
yeah.
Is the momentum there? I mean, Matt McFarlane did get a lot of publicity and coverage in the spring session of the legislature. You know.
Yes.
Great. Well, just introduce yourself and let us know what you're calling about.
Great. It's Sean McGivern calling from Nish, and I was calling about the by-election. I think it's going to be a tight race, in my opinion. I think that either the Conservative candidates lose, that this need a leadership change in both of those. I feel like, and I'm a Conservative supporter myself, member, I feel like he is not doing a good job at uniting the party. I don't know if he could find his fish. I've never seen him here. But I think if you're going to run a provincial party, to be somebody who can crisscross and be at events and networking, building the party out, and he can't from Charlottetown. You know, it's a grassroots movement, and it's got to have.
So you haven't seen Rob Lance in Tignish, which is a very, very important.
No, sure haven't. Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Although some politicians,
I think
some conservative politicians write off West Prince because they assume or believe that West Prince is going to go Liberal, but that's really not the case.
Exactly. Opportunities here. We run some good candidates provincially and federally, and we're getting more and more going in the right direction to conservatives here. But it's got to be effort, right? It can't be standalone that are going to carry the weight of the party up here that have support. And I think Mr. Lance has just not done a very good job at uniting. I think at the end of the day, he seems very scripted, very how would I say, very a person who doesn't relate well with them, to be able to read the room well and understand that when things don't go his way, he seems to get a little of a snotty attitude we've seen in the leadership. And, he's had some MLAs who supported him in the last well, I think all of them except Darlene Con and Mr. Ledwell, who had MLA supporting him. So what does that tell you from the grassroots level? If those MLAs, each of those MLAs just needed to go out memberships, 30, 40 memberships in their, and yet Mr. Ledwell was still able to come within a few hundred votes and almost beat him. That's the leadership or the support of the party that we need right now.
I wanted to ask you about one of the West Prince MLAs, Gilles Arsenault, who was basically kicked out of the party. Now is on a leave of absence and until this RCMP investigation is completed on this Summerside development. But how is that going over in West Prince?
About having with Barb a couple of weeks ago, they were at the Pizza Hut one day. Barb and him have, so I think he's doing well.
Barb Ramsey,
Barb and him were having Pizza Hut Summerside a few weeks ago. Yeah.
But that certainly it must have rankled some Tories to, especially in the Acadian part of that the Prince County, because Jill's is considered a very strong MLA, and it just seemed to be a bunch of unfortunate events that happened there, and the way he was dealt with. I think
the big thing for conservatives is that we tell ourselves all the time, and when we see situations like the Arsenault situation, he's guilty or not guilty. Right now he's just public opinion at this point, but very critical to your future and your political shadow. These types of situations, and the challenge, say, that Mr. Arsenault has is that conservatives, we always want to hold ourselves to a higher standard. We always say those other guys when it comes to that kind of stuff, and so problems do arise. I think it's more of a gut punch, typical conservative, than it is to people from other parties, because I think we really genuinely believe, we don't sacrifice things for the right of the party. We do things because it's the right way to do them, and it's very, very disturbing what's going on there.
We should, we're getting some messages coming in. There's been 100 people still in line up, so there's certainly a lot of people trying to vote and get their votes cast. Maybe we'll ask one last question. I do appreciate you calling in, Sean, but we want to open up these phone lines. There's a lot of people watching,
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of people making comments online, so I want to get to those as well. So any last closing comments, John or Sean?
No, it's good to hear from you, Sean. I like your West Prince perspective from somebody from Melbourne. I'm from Melbourne, and I always think West Prince is... people take West Prince for granted too much, and I think it's a strong part of the island, much like Kings County, and so we always the two
You're
ends.
A big financial driver here.
Yeah, and the two ends always seem to be fighting against Charlottetown or Brighton, whatever it is. I don't know why, but I think political parties can't underestimate the power that is in Kings County and Prince County.
And maybe more in Prince.
Absolutely.
The population's growing in Prince a little bit more than it is in Kings, actually.
Yep.
Yes, yeah, lots of affluence. Things are going well overall for Prince County. A lot of good, hardworking, honest people up here, and hope to keep on that trajectory. Yep. Thanks, guys. Appreciate what you're doing.
Great to hear from you.
Thanks. So that's great. This is the whole idea with this Island Do. We want people to call in. There's actually quite a few comments online, so I'm going to kind of sift through those. We're getting real-time updates from the elections PEI. There's about 100 people still waiting in line to vote. We won't get the advanced polls until those clear, so it makes it more exciting and more opportunity for people to call. So if you do want to give us a shout, the number is 902-500-2464. There seems to be a little bit of a glitch with the phone. I don't know if you can hear it online or not, but we hear a little bit of a latency and a click. So we'll continue to take the calls, and if we have to clarify anything with the callers, we will. Yeah. Again, this is the Island Duo. John Jeffery, it's Blake Doyle here doing the live call-in portion for the District 16 by-election. The number is 902-500-2464. We'd love to hear from you as we wait for these polls.
Yeah, I think it's important to hear from people with all kinds of perspectives. It was interesting to hear from Sean there on his perspective as a conservative from West Prince, but we need to hear from voters from Cornwall Meadowbank as well. And
Absolutely.
yeah, I keep stressing that this is an important by-election because it is going to tell us a lot about the political future of this province and what will happen with the parties as they go through this summer and into the fall. So there's going to be a lot of guessing and prognosis is made, and just a lot of trying to figure out what's the best moves for the parties.
I think each of the parties have a lot at stake. We talked about that before, and that's why we're doing this podcast, because at the end of this thing, each of the parties, the leadership could be a consideration, the momentum of the parties, the candidate strength within the legislative assembly. Yeah. So there's a lot riding, and that's why this is important, and we're delighted to do this. Few comments, nothing here, probably some gratitude, I think, that we're doing this, which is kind of interesting. And I'm glad you're here to do it, John. We couldn't get a better political commentator with more experience in this subject. So you've seen a few by-elections in your day.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of by-elections. I've seen a lot of elections. And, elections are always exciting. And, things happen very fast. And then all of a sudden it could be over very quickly. And, you know who's going to win. And you're just trying to figure out how many seats they're going to get. And sometimes it's a nail biter. You're just on a cliff's edge when you're waiting for the next poll to come in. And this is what this by-election here is probably going to be like. It's going to be, it should be close, and it will come down to just a very few votes on just who's going to win. I mean, that's what we think, but maybe one party is going to run away with this.
We'll find out.
Yeah, we're going to find out.
There's 20 people now. In real time, we're watching. There's 20 people still. The doors are locked, but we're getting the reports. There's 20 people waiting to complete their votes. And as soon as those come in, the advanced polls will roll in.
Yeah.
And Elections PEI have some accounting to do. So we'll stay on air. I don't know if you've got a bedtime or not, John.
No.
Hopefully we'll be an hour or something and have this wrapped up. So in your experience with these elections, by-elections, when they're close like this, how do you declare a victory? And can you declare a defeat if you lose by a small margin? Like, is this, when it gets too close to call, what happens to the parties and the...
Well, what I find that, very rarely are the numbers overturned. You think if somebody just wins by, 4 or 5 or 6 votes, you think, okay, there's going to be a recount and maybe the results are going to be overturned. But Election PEI does a really good job of this. And in this by-election, it's going to be close, but I think whoever wins with a small majority is going to be the eventual winner, because it's very, very difficult to overturn the by-election and start throwing up ballots. It just doesn't seem to happen that often, or if ever, really.
You'd have to turn over historically quite a few ballots to make a difference, but it's exciting. Some of the comments coming in, we are having technical difficulties. We do have a pretty low budget here, so we apologize for the phone connectivity, but we work with the technology. We've got a big screen behind us, so our technology is improving.
Yeah, it's improving.
But in small steps.
We'll get this phone worked out.
Well, you know what? These are the growing pains. And the intention was to do the call-ins again the fall after we had a little bit of time to calibrate and get organized.
It's not too bad. There's a bit of a noise there, but you can
get the context.
You can make people. You can hear people pretty good. So
give us a call.
Yeah,
if you're listening and you want to have a comment, 902-500-2464. We've got lots of people watching, and mostly people tend to watch this after the broadcast. But tonight, people are tuning in. They're very interested in this by-election. It's important. We've got another update coming in here. It's the ellipse is spinning, and it says all votes have closed. Yeah, so the advanced polls should be released here momentarily. So this will keep people...
Well, we're about half an hour in now by now.
We are exactly 35 minutes.
Yeah, we should be getting results very quickly.
We should do a sponsorship ad. Maybe this is the time we've got people's attention, but we don't have any sponsors.
Well, you can sponsor the Island Do, the podcast itself. This is a podcast that's growing and it's developing, and there's different ways we're taking it and looking for ideas, and we're looking for the future of PEI, future issues that are important to Prince Edward Island, and going to help chart a future for this province. We hope, and some
It's
ideas.
a platform for people to have their say.
Yeah.
And if you look at
Ideas.
the volume, so we've got, I'm surprised at the number of people who, follow and subscribe. And you can catch us on YouTube, audio and video, Spotify, audio and video, Amazon, Apple. So whatever platform you like, we appreciate subscription. Like, just all you got to do is like it and listen to it. Those numbers are growing. And I think people do want to have their say, and this is an opportunity to do so. We encourage you to give us a call and let us know what's on your mind.
Yep. Yeah, it is. I mean, this is a forum for Islanders. That's what we're trying to do with this. And I think there's some very big issues out there in Prince Edward Island, and I'm sure that they were debated in this by-election. For a lot of people, it comes down to healthcare, but I get a sense that more people are struggling with just day-to-day living and getting squeezed from all kinds of economic factors that are putting pressures on families and people, and in terms of jobs and just basically living, the cost of food and shelter and cars and insurance. And so I think those are becoming more and more important issues for Islanders to try to deal with. And I think that's where the future's for the next government or these leaders are going to have to chart a really realistic future for the island, and they have to be very determined about what they're setting out for this province. And I think it has to be in terms of economic growth. You just can't throw money at healthcare and think that that's going to get you elected. People are looking for
Solutions.
Future, and it's kind of crass to say, or silly to say that people are looking for hope, but that's really, when it comes right down to it, that's what voters are looking for. That's what Islanders want, some kind of future and some hope for that future. And the politicians have to deliver that. And they have to deliver a concrete plan on where they're taking this province. And that's why I keep, harping on the economy, because economy, the debt, job creation, sure, healthcare is important and education is important, but as you say, we've got to be able to afford it. We just can't keep going into debt. And I believe that the province's debt is going to be one of those big issues in the coming election, whenever that happens. I think it was an issue in this by-election. Politicians like to say it's healthcare, and maybe it is for some people, but I think for the general public out there, there's the economy is a growing and a much more important issue, especially with what's going on with trade issues with the United States, with the federal government, what it's doing in terms of mega projects. We've seen lots of promises. We haven't seen any really shovels in the ground yet. We haven't seen a mega project happen on PEI yet. If there is one out there, but
we might get some announcement when the council of the premiers meet. Is it next week they come down here? One of the things.
End of the month, yeah.
So Carney will be down, and we have become, as a province, very reliant on federal transfers,
Yep.
which we may not have that luxury. So whoever wins this by-election gets into the legislature, and ultimately, if there's an election, whatever party wins that, there's going to be some big challenges.
Yeah,
Governing is tough.
Well, I think the politicians have to set out a pathway for self-reliance. That we're going to grow our own economy. We're going to find out what we're really good at, which is basically the primary industry: agriculture and fisheries and tourism. Tourism is really growing, and agriculture always does well in this province. So is the fisheries. So you've got to take those primary industries, and you're going to build on that. And and the new technologies that are happening. So the thing about PEI is people want to live on Prince Edward Island. There's something charming or mystical about PEI that people want to come here. We just have to find employment for them. We have to be able to generate some good jobs, and jobs that are going to stimulate the economy in turn. And Yeah, it's difficult to do that if you're struggling every day trying to satisfy people with healthcare needs and saying, well, we got to keep hospitals open, emergency rooms, and we
people are
got to
struggling
fill
with
that void.
day-to-day expenses.
I know, and so if that's your priority, well, then then the economy takes second seat to that
basic needs.
to the.
Hard to keep the electorate happy when you've got these kind of challenges that really are difficult to address. Just a couple of things, a few comments that are coming in here, which I may as well read out. Again, if you do want to give us a call, the number is 902-500-2464. Appreciate everybody who's got some strong comments. There was one here, somebody mentioned Mike Curry was watching, which would be interesting. I haven't seen or heard from former PC MLA Mike Curry, but it'd be great. Maybe he wants to give us a call at 902-500-2464.
Well, he was economic development minister under Binns, and he funded some big projects, had some big ambitions, and he's haven't heard much from him lately.
Well, he can give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. Lots of people watching. There's been a few comments here on, what do we expect a win would be for the voters of Cornwall, Meadowbank. So I don't know if you have a perspective on that. Some people are, if you do have a projection, why don't you pop it in the comments on Facebook Live, and we'll kind of assemble those and see who gets closest to the end result. I know the polls are going to be counted and start to get released in about 15 minutes. We should have the advance poll prior to that.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on what makes a successful outcome to this by-election endeavor? I guess it depends on the party, but regardless of which party, what is a thin margin a good enough victory? Is a win, as has been quoted in the past?
Well, I keep going back. There's a lot at stake for the Liberals and the Conservatives. The Greens can get away with losing this by-election. They can. It's not going to hurt that party very much. But a loss for the Liberals or the Conservatives, it's going to have big ramification for those parties and for those leaders, especially Mitchell. If he's not able to get a seat in the legislature, he's pretty well done as leader of the Liberal Party, and. So
but a great campaigner.
Great guy.
Yeah.
The problem is that people may view him as a politician from the past, and they may be holding that against him. That they're looking for somebody younger, more dynamic, not tied to the old Giz era or the Liberals. Somebody new with new ideas, new energy. So that's the problem for Robert Mitchell, and for the Conservative candidate, McDonald. I mean, it's the same kind of thing. She's really running for Lance. And
did you watch the debate? So the Charlottetown Chamber of Commerce held a debate, and it was online. I don't know if you watched it. I did watch it. It was very tight. I mean, people were struggling to get their points across. But, I did hear a lot of talking points on the policy of the parties. And there was some reference to what's going to be good for the local community. But, there's been big promises made to the community. Senior care facility, $100
million. A lot
of money.
Mm-hmm. There's always a lot of promises made in by-elections.
A new rink.
By-elections are really important, so the parties are going to make a lot of promises.
But they don't always work out. I think in the last by-election, was it Carolyn Simpson's? I think a new school was opened, but I don't think that translated into a success for the Conservative
But they
Party.
did win the District 2, Brendan Curran.
Yeah.
They did win that seat against Robert Mitchell. But
Kent Dollar, I think, as well.
Yeah.
He won his by-election. So a lot at stake. It's going to be very interesting, and lots of people are watching. So we're going to try to keep an eye on both the comments that are coming in as well as the updates on the polls, which you can see over John's shoulder. I'll just refresh it to see if there's been anything come in. Nothing yet. We've got to be pretty close. They're all going to come streaming in here in about 15 minutes. So.
Yeah.
Chance to call if you do have anything on your mind, and it could be anything. It doesn't have to be related to the by-election. It was great to hear from a caller who had general perspectives. The number is 902-500-2464. Yeah, here's a former leader. Just made a comment, former leader of the PC party, James Alward, just commenting on the growth of the podcast, which is great. And the whole purpose of this thing, and John's got his own podcast on this Island Do platform, called Ideas, where John interviews interesting people who've got ideas and concepts. We can talk about that. But the whole purpose for me is to give Islanders an outlet. And that's why these call-in programs are so important, because there's not many avenues people can have comments. As long as they're respectful, even the comments that we get online are pretty voluminous. But as long as it's respectful and constructive, then that's what we want to empower and engage people for.
I think it's really important. I think it's important for people to sort of embrace this podcast and and sort of demand that we search out good people and get them on the air and do long, intensive interviews, people with ideas and their thoughts. And
we had a great call tonight with Ron McKinley.
Yeah,
that was quite a coup to get him connected to this podcast. And there's nobody who has better perspective on what's happening in the ground, I don't think.
And he seems to be indicating that the Greens have some strength.
He was
quite a bit of strength
in that, and you see it in the polls
district
too.
Yes, yeah.
So what do you think of these polls? I've seen a lot of polls lately. The narrative one is probably the most relevant one, but there's been different polls from different parties indicating different things.
Party polls you don't really pay much attention
Right.
to. I mean, the Liberals released a poll showing that they were going to win, but the party polls are really a propaganda item because you don't know what the questions are. There's a lot of things. Who was polled or whatever, but it is certainly a device that the parties will use to try to gain momentum during the dying days of a campaign, because every party does, especially during a general election. You try to get a poll out that shows you're gonna win. But the old saying, the only poll that really counts is the poll and the ballot box and the way.
We're going to get that here in about 10 minutes. So we're going to know. I do have that narrative poll. It was published on June the 10th, 17th, that period. So it's pretty recent. And it does indicate a fair bit of strength for the Green Party. 40% of the respondents supported the Green Party. More interestingly was the number of preferred premier, 51% for Matt McFarland.
Yeah, that's the strength of that party, really, is Matt McFarland. And he campaigned very extensely in this by-election because he wants to win this by-election. He wants to see Willow in the House, and it creates a whole dynamic momentum for that party if they're able to win this by-election. That's why it's important, because it shifts. It will shift the energy out there, the political energy. If it's towards the Greens, well then Matt McFarland will be a much more possible premier in waiting, you could say. Same with Robert Mitchell. I mean, his future's on the line. Same with Rob Lance. Yeah, I mean, I figured that Lance is probably going to have to go by the fall, either into a general election or step down and let somebody else take over, because that party is really floundering and they don't have a real solid direction. And they're really hampered by the huge deficit that they're carrying. So it's a
battle of leadership.
It is, yeah.
It's going to be a test, I think, to see. Now, this is one little microcosm. It's an important district, the Cornwall Meadowbank. But will this momentum, or whatever we find out here tonight, do you think that's going to translate and amplify in some of the other districts?
Oh, I would think so, yeah. And it does set the stage for the general election. I think a general election is inevitable. I think it has to probably happen this fall, and a lot of changes could take place before that general election occurs. And that's why we're watching this by-election so closely, because leaderships could change, and some people, leaders could be out, they could be in more solid. I mean, it's important that what happens here. And I think that I really do think a fall election is almost inevitable. I don't think he can hold it up much longer than that. I mean, if the Conservatives win this by-election, well, then they may try to wait for next spring. Maybe
is there
possible.
a benefit to do that? Because I mean, you've seen a lot of these elections, and I'm not a strategist, but boy, can things get better by holding off an election?
No, they usually get worse.
I don't see a lot of...
When the slide starts, when you start, tumbling in support, it's really, really difficult to recover. I mean, well, we did see that with the federal Liberals, with Carney. Carney came in and they saw Trump as being such a threat. And so that's, you change the whole Canadian political perspective. And, it gave the Liberals a minority government. Eventually they were able to get enough seats to form a slim majority. I heard Robert Giz, former Premier Robert Giz, on another podcast talking about how, the political party needs a major issue on PEI that will take the voters' attention away from just how bad the parties are doing right now, especially the Conservative Party as a government. So if you can throw in a major issue that will galvanize Islanders into saying, well, this is a direction we can go. And he suggested maybe electricity might be that kind of an issue where you're charting a future. He also suggested healthcare, but I think healthcare it's an important issue for some people, but for the people who are young and are trying to raise a family and try to just deal with the basic cost of living, I think healthcare is something that they are. I think there are more important issues.
Okay.
And I think politicians have to realize that there are more important issues out there, and you can't keep spending money on healthcare. It's a bottomless pit, and you have to say, okay, we're going to do something major or drastic with the economy. We're going to try to move forward. So maybe it's a major economic development platform or policy that you can announce and say we're going to commit, so many $50-100 million towards this economic.
But do they have the money? Have they not
Well, they borrowed
the
money. They borrowed money for healthcare and education, for capital projects. They've gone into debt. Yeah. So why not go into debt again for economic development and say we're going to do this? We're going to try to stimulate the economy. One of the interesting columns I read this week was from Tim Banks in The Guardian. And I don't know if you saw that, but he talked about what happened to the entrepreneurial spirit on Prince Edward Island.
It's been crushed.
There was used to be the Skiermans, the McLaughlins. Well, the McLaughlins are still there, but the Holmans, the Scaleses. What happened to these great entrepreneurial families? Because their companies are being taken over by huge corporations that are coming in from outside PEI.
I don't think the government hasn't fostered entrepreneurship. Yeah. I think they've crushed it. Yeah. They hire people into the bureaucracy instead of enabling industry.
Yeah, you look at diagnostic chemicals. Sure. Regis Duffy created diagnostic chemical. Great success, yeah. And then, it was growing and growing, and then it was changed ownership. Now we don't know who owns diagnostic chemicals. We don't know where the corporate head office is, but it was an island success story, taken over. And Banks was talking about how this had started during the Alec Campbell era, back in the development plan stage. And
Banks knows entrepreneurship. He's one of the most tenacious, focused entrepreneurs, and people don't like him because he's so focused. But there's a guy that could speak to what's happened to entrepreneurship. And are we creating, maybe we don't need bombastic entrepreneurs, but we do need people to take risk.
Well, in a sense, it does show that things are happening on Prince Edward Island, that large companies are seeing this as a place to invest money in, right, where you can acquire companies and
we've got the talent
and build dividends for shareholders and things like that. So
you got to get the people back out of government that haven't been hired.
But that's what I'm saying. Governments, you got to go back and do a big stimulus. Say we're going to spend money directly on stimulating the economy. I'm saying, well, why not put a big chunk of money in? And this is going to be money. They've done this before. We're going to invest in entrepreneurs. They say that, but you designate a certain amount of money is going to go into island companies, entrepreneurs who have a plan, a workable plan, and you're going to grow this economy. So, but I keep wondering, okay, what is this big idea or big development or project that you can throw out there as a political party and say, okay, we're going to change everybody's focus from, the cost of living or healthcare or whatever, and onto this other great path that we can take as a province and sort of inspire the electorate to get out and say, well, this is important to vote for. For Carney, for the federal Liberals, it was a hatred for Donald Trump. But
Trudeau probably too.
Yeah, Trudeau, yeah. I mean, but the hatred for Trump is not working out very well because Trump is his own man, and we still don't have a trade agreement with the United States. We keep hearing about manufacturing companies are going to take the cue from Brookfield Holdings and Mark Carney when he was chairman and gone to New York, the head office. So now manufacturing companies are taking that cue and saying, well, we might be better off investing in the United States and moving our offices there and our manufacturing there. And
I think the Canadian economy's got some challenges.
I do too.
And not least of which is the dollar, which is projected to continue to fall. And that's going to make our financing and the government spending even more difficult.
And what's surprising is we don't have a result from one poll right now,
Well,
I mean, this is very unusual.
It is. We do have a couple
how,
of comments.
How late is it now?
We are looking at 8 o'clock. Should be coming in any minute.
8 o'clock.
Before we get that, there's some comments coming in, and I want to remind people again, if you want to call 902-500-2464, we'd love to hear from you. This is your platform, your opportunity to have your voice heard. One of the comments, there's lots of comments here, but one was kind of interesting. It says, isn't the big problem for the Liberals and Conservatives is the old backroom boys are still in charge of the major parties. It's an interesting comment, and you've heard this dirty backroom sort of connotation before.
There's always backroom boys.
Greens,
there's always backroom people. The Greens have their own they have their own backroom people who are, strategizing and figuring out where they're going to go and what policy. I mean, every party does it. They're essential people. But the question is just how good they are. You've got to get really, really good backroom boys or backroom girls and strategists in making those decisions for the party.
We're going to find out in a couple of minutes.
Okay, I'm asking people to phone in. So this idea that there has to be a major issue that has galvanized Islanders into another direction and take their focus away. I mean,
we might have to come up with that, John.
Well,
maybe
we're looking at it, but
okay,
what anybody out there with an idea, okay, what can you take now and say, okay, this will take voters, pique their interest in a big way and will take away their
But should you
unhappiness.
give this away? If we're going to go to an election in the fall, do you really want to give away this secret sauce?
Well, no. I mean, it's going to be a whole bunch of ideas thrown out there.
Yeah. Well, we need a lot of ideas.
We know the Liberals are looking because if Robert Giz is talking about it, we know that the Liberals are looking for that right. One big idea. And certainly the Tories are looking for it too. It just can't be healthcare, because that's what they've been campaigning on for years and years. And the sad reality is it doesn't improve, doesn't get better, just seems to get mired down. I keep saying that Islanders have to take responsibility for your own health more and more. And that's basically what it comes down to. And
I don't have a doctor, so I have to take care of my own health because I've got no recourse to turn to. And I think Islanders now are facing that same challenge.
Sure.
John, you've made some, I won't say bold, but I'll say dramatic.
Prescient.
Yes. In fact, other podcasters have picked up on some of the things that you have predicted. So give us a prediction, not on the by-election, which you're going to get results on very momentarily. What do you think is going to happen in the next 6 months here for PEI? Not even for leaders and individuals, you can get into that, but party-wise, what do you see happening?
Well, okay. Now, my big prediction is there has to be a general election within 6 months. Has to be election before the fall, before Christmas.
Three same leaders there?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think the Matt McFarlane will be there for sure. I don't know about the other two, but I mean, there seems to be a lot of frustration and anger out there among the public and the electorate, and I think a general election has to happen to sort of clear the air. And I keep coming back to this sense of a firm, hard direction for this province to go in.
We're kind of drifting a bit, aren't we?
We've been drifting for years. I think we've been drifting since, I've said this, almost from Jim Lee. We started drifting then, and then Joe Giz and Robert Giz, and certainly we've been drifting with Dennis King, and now we're with Rob Lance. There doesn't seem to be a real hard direction, for this province. And I think that's what is needed. You know, this province has a lot of opportunities.
I think the people need that too. They need to
Yeah.
know what direction we're going.
And that's
in.
why I'm saying, you know, we need a general election to clear the air. And we need platforms that are real platforms. And we need a couple of hard ideas that saying, well, this is where we're going to take this province. It may not be easy, but the focus has got to be on the economy. It always has to come back to the economy and the jobs and those bread and butter issues about what are important to people. You know, because everyday people, you know, what they're concerned about is paying their bills.
Right.
You know,
Getting
getting the mortgage paid. You know, having a job, a secure job. You know.
And some of those are not achievable. Those aren't even aspirations anymore.
No. You know, a house now is certainly not an aspiration that people can go out and say, I'm going to have a house, because it may not be possible for this next generation that's coming on. And if that's why I'm saying, if you're spending all your money on healthcare and saying that's a big priority in public work projects, you're forgetting about the economy, and you're forgetting about the young families that are coming up. And, you know, they've got to be interested. They've got to see a future. They've got to see some hope. And, you know, you can't just offer them pablum. And, you know.
We've got some suggestions coming in. I think
Great.
people have taken the bait.
Good.
Here's one from Jamie Fox, another former leader of the PC party.
Yeah, a lost candidate in the last federal election.
That's right. Yeah,
which was too bad. He had some high hopes.
Well, he may
And
maybe
he's an
his
idea guy.
political, aspirations
Maybe.
aren't done, but he's suggesting we should be looking at natural gas to PEI, container port with access to the Moncton rail yard, and actual development of the fabrication yard, which would be in Jamie's backyard of District 19, I believe. So there's 3 suggestions based on your call for ideas.
We've talked about it. This natural gas thing, natural gas to PEI. Jamie Ballum, when we had him on here.
So just
we
you
talked
got a
about
podcast.
natural gas.
You interviewed Jamie Ballum.
And natural gas exploration. I still think we know there's natural gas off Prince Edward Island. Maybe government has to say we're going to start investing money into exploring for natural gas off Prince Edward Island. The fabrication yard is just ridiculous because it's been sitting there for almost 30 years there now. There have been some good ideas, but nothing really has developed from it. And I don't know why it hasn't. There's a great deep water port there. I mean, you think something would have happened there. I know that Ronnie McKinley would tell you that at one point, not that many years ago, there were American businessmen who were very much interested in that port and bringing in U.S. goods into Canada and landing them at that port. And that never went anyplace. I mean, there were ideas of golf courses. And
it's good to try things, but you got to retreat if it's not working. Some of these things.
Well, if you're going to spend all your money on healthcare, you don't have money for these kinds of big projects like the fabrication yard, like for natural gas, developing natural gas power on PEI, even developing wind power or solar power.
There's a whack of comments coming in here, John. So just if people see me with my head down, I'm trying to engage.
Just give us the best ones.
Well, there's so many. There's
don't give us any negative ones.
No, everybody's pretty constructive, but lots of opinions.
Because I think that's important. Because just think about it. Okay, I mean, we all depend upon the politicians out, but they're not the ones that are going to chart this course because they're all pretty well weak-kneed politicians. Pretty well, they don't want to come out with the big ideas. Except it's healthcare, But we need some big ideas now. We need some big projects. We need some big directions, some huge directions for this province. The one big gamble that Dennis King took was the NHL tourism contract.
That's a pretty safe gamble. You got a couple of tickets out
and he's got a lot of criticism about that contract. And I think it's been actually wonderful because, tourism is just growing. Maybe not because of that,
I don't think
but
it's
it helped with
because of
the exposure. But, anytime you spend money to increase the exposure to get people here, and tourism is growing at 10%, it's probably, if it's not our second, it's very close to our second industry. And there's a huge potential in tourism development and year-round tourism, and so...
it's a controversial one. We won't get into that one tonight, but And they
That's
tried
the only
something.
that's the only one I would agree with King on, basically. So,
Heck, we could go over a few others, including the medical school, but we'll save that for
well, I
another
like the
conversation.
medical school. I do like the
Well,
medical school.
the concept is good. The implementation is flawed. We'll see how it works out, but we'll give it a couple of years. Getting some feedback, and I think we know this. We're going to do Facebook Live, which we have done, and people are watching that. We're going to use YouTube Live, and we set it up. Unfortunately, we're here at night, and we don't have any tech support. I can see that it's failed, so yes, we can't see that. Getting some note from the elections PEI. Thank you for your comments and feedback. They're saying the numbers are still coming, so keep talking.
The numbers. Listen, this is after
exciting.
8. This is after 8 o'clock.
We're gonna have to pay you more.
Usually we get results half an hour.
Yeah,
First results are half an hour after the polls close, and then and then things go very quickly after that. But you've got to wonder why. Here it is after 8 and no results.
Because it's such an exciting election. This is made for TV.
It is.
Let's have another sponsorship ad just to give the sponsors more benefit. There's lots of good comments coming in on education, the challenges it's having, and the impact to society. I don't know if this is the actual Matt McFarland, but a Matt McFarland. I don't know if it's the leader. He said, thanks for providing this great local journalism. I don't think
tell
it
him
is.
to phone in. Matt, phone in. Give us a call.
Or Robert or any of your
waiting.
teams. I think you're all watching these pretty closely.
Well, I don't think any of the leaders are going to phone in until they know where this is going. But
we're welcome. Maybe there's people, pundits within the parties. We'd love to hear from you as well. 902-500-2464. Lots of people watching, John. It's
well, I mean, we could ask Pat Dorsey to phone in. He's now in the Premier's office. Used to be head of ACOA. He was in the Premier's office under Premier Pat Binns. He's been around a long time. Now he's engineering strategy from the Premier's office for the Conservative government. I mean, it'd be nice to hear from somebody like Pat Dorsey.
Pat, the number is 902-500-2464. I'm sure Pat's pretty busy kind of watching these numbers, which are slow to come in.
I did ask a former Liberal strategist to phone to take a call, Jeff Townsend, who was with the Liberals for years and years, and one of the backroom boys for that party, one of the powers behind
and still involved
Robert
in
Giz. He's sort of semi-retired or whatever. I don't know.
You don't ever retire from politics.
But anyway, said he had other engagements at the moment. So, but
we have
somebody like that.
Colton Prophet did have a comment on the medical school. I think I'll do a podcast on that because I think Colton's comments would maybe mirror mine. I think the concept, there's a lot of history with this medical school. And the concept does have merit. The implementation was flawed and I think still is flawed. And yes, people will stay where they train. That's proven, no question. But the thing is so fragile now, I'm not sure. In fact, this was pointed out by Todd Cormier, leader in the last leader for the Liberal leadership, who commented that there's no commitment to service, so there's no retention with any of the physicians that the public taxpayers are paying to put through the medical school. So,
listen, I've heard these. I was around when they did the vet college, and Jim Lee did that, and there was a lot of consternation about whether the province could afford it, whether we should, invest in a veterinary college for the region. But that's worked out great, I mean, they've got all kinds of
different stresses on that system, and
I know, but I know, but you need veterinarians. You have a lot of Americans coming in here now and getting educated,
and we have an agri economy, so of course, I do concur. That's been good. Let's not dwell on these. Let's stay on politics. So,
we're still looking for that big idea for the political parties to take into the next election to say that we're going to
numbers here, John.
Okay,
so
which are?
You can see it over my shoulder. I'll read them out.
This is the advance.
These are the advance polls, and as you mentioned, these are critical.
It's Willow Tate is at the advance at 643. Robert Mitchell's at 590. Kaylee McDonald is at 408, and Craig Nash, the NDP, is at 13.
So what do you make of that?
With the advance poll, well, I said the advance poll is gonna tell a lot.
And if you compare that to the last election.
This is an interesting trend.
And this is the momentum that we've seen from some of the recent polls. So if you compare that to the last election results.
I don't know if you can compare it to the last, because the last time you had Mark McLean running, he was a new, and he was very popular, And you don't have that kind of dynamics in this by-election. And this by-election is actually more about the leaders than the candidates.
I think it is, yeah.
You know, so it's actually you can say it's a by-election for people, but it's actually a vote on three leaders. It's Rob Lance, Robert Mitchell, and Matt McFarland, and that's really what this vote is about.
Well, the polls are closed, and they're tabulating the numbers. We should see some others pop in here fairly quickly, but the early indication, the advanced polls, the Greens and Tate Willows, it looks like it's a little bit of a lead. It's not a comfortable lead.
Well, we knew this was going to be a close race.
It's exciting.
What's surprising is that the conservative candidate only has 408 votes compared to 590 for Robert Mitchell, and compared to 643. So she's more than a couple of hundred votes behind Tate Willows and the Green Party.
In the advanced polls, this is where the parties really work to get their votes in the box.
It is.
Before the election night.
And that's a time when they try to get the party workers really fired up.
And it shows the organization of the party.
Yeah, the organization, that's key. And I've always said strong showing in the advanced polls means a strong organization on the ground for the parties. And maybe what this is showing right now is that the Conservatives don't have that strong ground game that they needed to.
But they should have. The Liberals and Conservatives, they've got the tools, they've got the infrastructure, they've got the people.
And they announced a $100 million senior
What's going to happen with that?
Just at the beginning.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a political announcement.
Well, this is not going to change the government, this by-election, but it does change the future.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
But this is interesting. So I think what it indicates to me is that the Greens do have a ground game if they're able to mobilize that many people.
They always
to get to the
did.
polls.
And McFarland was out there campaigning hard.
Yes.
And they had a lot of...
So Lance, was he in the district much?
Is there any now that's feedback? A good question.
If maybe we've got
we'll have
people...
to get Ronnie back on the phone. Maybe he was following him. I don't know. I didn't see... I know he did some Facebook ads out in that district. He certainly was there for the $100 million announcement.
Well, maybe there's people from the district that want to give us a call now that the advanced polls are starting to roll in. Number again, 902-500-2464. I'm watching between advance or in refresh. Let's see if there's more going on with those advanced polls. Nothing. Okay. This is a note from Elections PEI. It's hard to stay on top of all this, but yeah, it's good. It's exciting. We're going to get overtime pay, though, I think, John. I thought we'd be done by 8 o'clock. So there's a lot of texts and things coming in. I think we may have a hard time keeping up with this, but yeah, certainly calling would be great. 902-500-2464 if you're inclined. There's lots of people watching. I think people have interest in this by-election. Not only the parties, but I think Islanders see the importance of this.
Oh, definitely. And, this podcast is actually where you can go and see live results coming in. You can go to the Elections PEI website and watch it there.
But you don't get your commentary.
But you don't get the commentary. No.
That's the value.
You don't get the kind of excitement that we can bring to these numbers.
Here's an interesting question, and I don't know if you would know the answer, but is this the first time the Greens have led in advanced polls ever? And it probably is. I don't know.
See, I don't know about that.
Peter Bevan Baker, would he have won maybe in his advanced polls?
Yeah, every now and then the Green Party have surprised or surprised voters, and they've elected some very good people. So that would take a bit of research.
Can the Tories and Grits switch their leaders before a wanted fall election? Another comment?
Well, I said they both have to switch leaders, both parties. And I keep going back to that comment that Stephen Myers made some time ago. I always thought it was a pretty astute comment for Myers to make, is that when Paul McNeil asked him who was going to win the next election, he said, whichever party changes leaders first. And I do believe that is very accurate, that whichever Liberal or Conservatives change leaders, then that gives them a chance to sort of rewrite. Or,
a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
This is pressure on the...
rewrites their whole strategy and appearance and profile of the party. And I still like this whole idea of having a big major project that you set out there to try to take voters away from the dismal performance so far of the Conservatives and the Liberals. I mean, the Liberals certainly have been struggling in opposition under Hal Perry, and so.
Just looking at the last provincial election, 2023, and Mark McLean, great candidate, personal friend of mine, but he had more than doubled Tate Willow's second place Green in the advanced polls. So he had 926 to her 379. So this is a change of fortunes, I think. And Tate did come second in that last election.
Yes, she did.
So, maybe this is her time now. I think she only
had 25% of the vote, 24
total. Yeah, 24.2.
Total vote back then. But Mark McLean was such a strong candidate.
Yeah.
And there were different times too with the party. It was the party was in much better shape, stronger, and it was new. It's still new in its mandate and still going forward. So it's different now, different time, different candidates, and there's different dynamics at play. And you have the rise of Matt McFarlane as a very credible leader for the Green Party's taken over from Peter Bevan Baker. I think people may have been getting a bit tired of Peter Bevan Baker, so that party needed to change leaders, and that might be a good trend for the Liberals and Conservatives to think about. But anyway, we're still looking at the results, and it's still early. We're just looking at the advanced poll, but the advanced poll is important.
It is. I'm quite intrigued by this because it is, all the parties were so focused to mobilize their vote, and they've got the infrastructure and the ground game. The other two main parties, the Liberals and Conservatives. So this could be a bit of a change for this riding. Let's see. It's interesting. The number, if you want to give us a call and give us your opinion, 902-500-2464. Lots of comments still coming in. Can't get to them all, but it's great that there's people engaged and watching, and we appreciate that. Apologize that the Facebook Live or Facebook Live's working. The YouTube Live is not, but we're working through the growing pains of this process.
Yeah.
In your, pedigree of covering provincial elections, how important is this particular by-election? Because it's not going to really change the seats for government at this particular time.
No.
But is it?
Well, we keep saying this. It's going to change the whole dynamics for the parties. Even if the Liberals or Conservatives were able or managed now with this early lead by the Greens to pull it out at the end, whoever loses, Liberal or Conservative, they're going to have to overhaul their whole party, their whole strategy, the whole leadership. So if Mitchell's able to hang on for Rob Lance, that probably means the quick demise of his leadership of the Conservative Party, and the party would have to scramble to find the next leader. And
do people want to be engaged? I mean, we've got people running for this particular by-election as a legislative assembly member. Do people want to can we get leaders that aspire? It's a challenging environment. Politics is not the same as it was when you were covering it 20 years ago. I mean, everything has changed from the proximity of the social media ferocity of people's comments. Can we still get good leaders?
Well, I think people's expectations are maybe shifting, about what they want in a leader. I really think that they want some kind of dynamic, hard, clear direction from leaders. You just can't throw out a healthcare education platform and, rural jobs kind of thing. They're looking for something that's going to be very concrete because they want something that's going to change their lives on Prince Edward Island, change what's going on in this province. That means changing the economy. And that means taking some big, bold risks and chances. And as you've said before, okay, healthcare is important. Yeah, we're going to take care of that. But let's take care of the economy first. Let's get the money flowing in. Let's stop, debt financing healthcare and public work projects. and let's stop over budgeting on these projects. I mean, one of the things that I think would devastating for the Tories during the campaign was this, Auditor General comes out with, it's 11 projects, $69 million over budget. I mean, how does projects go over budget by $69 million on PEI?
So I heard this and I thought, if Donald Trump was around, he'd say that he should be managing these projects, as you've seen from his commentary south of the border. But, Darren Noonan has been saying these same things consistently for years.
Auditor General, yes, yeah.
Does anybody listen? I listen. I'm shocked, but I don't know if anyone else is paying attention.
The thing about the Auditor General is that the politicians especially, don't tend to listen to them. They say, oh yeah, the Auditor General has made some recommendations, and we endorse their recommendations, and we're implementing them. They do that every year when the Auditor General presents his report. And I've always thought the best Auditor Generals were the ones who come out with some really hard findings, about misuse of government money and especially their commentary on debt and interest payments and stuff like that. It's very hard to get voters interested or connected with those kind of numbers. But when you see, the deficit climbing and you see all this money being eaten away by interest payments.
Well, and that's the biggest. Our interest rates are still modestly low. But as we continue to accumulate more debt, that becomes a bigger chunk of our discretionary funding. Just one quick comment that's come in here, John, which is relevant. I'll mention it. Colton Profit said that in the 2019 election, Hannah Bell, Peter Bevan Baker, and Stephen Howard all led in the advanced polls. So it's good real-time feedback from Islanders that we didn't have access to that data. So that's great. Thank you for that, Colton. Appreciate that.
I'm not surprised about Hannah Bell and Peter Bevan Baker.
So it's not the first time, but let's see what that...
But this is very amazing to me that we don't have more results. We have the advanced poll, and it's almost getting close to 8:30 now.
It's getting close to my bedtime. So
Mine
Paul
too.
Allen, if you're watching this,
I get up early.
Yeah, get counting because we're wanting to give people results. I appreciate people who tuned in.
We got hay to get in tomorrow, so.
Well, and you were doing hay tonight.
Yeah.
There's going to be a political party taking the hay in here before the end of the evening.
Well. After we know the results, there's going to be a lot of political chatter about just what this all means, and either the knives will come out, that's for sure. Just like who are they going to come out for?
Right.
And that's what we'll find out when we get more results from this by-election.
It's an unfortunate part of the politic game, and it's a reality everybody knows when they go into it. But there'll be a bloodletting.
Yeah, well, it's a blood sport, really.
Right.
And the knives do come out.
They might be sharpening right now.
I think they've been sharpening for a while, and we'll see where this by-election goes. That's why it's so important for the two main parties.
Well, and perhaps a great opportunity for the Greens, who are leading in the advanced polls as of right now. Tate Willows is 643 votes. Robert Mitchell with the Liberals, 590. PCs, 408, and the NDP at 13 votes in the advance. So really shows the engagement and organization to get people out to the advance polls prior to election night. And there were long lineups at election night. People were still coming in. So the parties are working hard to get people to the ballot box because they didn't even start identifying that the polls were being counted and the doors were locked.
Well, I'm just wondering why the people got out, because they realized how important this is. Without the political parties, certainly were trying to get them out to vote. But I'm hoping that this is a sign that people realize they realize how important this by-election was in terms of where this province is going to go and where the parties are going, what happens with the parties. So,
one thing we may want to look at just in that context, John, is the percentage of voter turnout, which is historically high for PEI. In the summertime, you don't expect people to come out to a by-election, and they purposely hold them this time of year to try to suppress interest and engagement. But this might be one of those elections that really does get people engaged.
Yeah, it could be. Yep.
So, again, if you're wanting to give us a shout as we wait for these polls to continue to come in, the number is 902-500-2464. If you want to put comments in the Facebook live stream, we're watching that and happy to comment on it. And if you've got any thoughts, anything on your mind about, John had some suggestions on big ideas that we need as a province to kind of propel ourselves forward. We discussed economic opportunity, but maybe people have other suggestions, and that's what the purpose of this Island Do broadcast is for, is to get ideas and hear the voices of Islanders. So let us know what's on your mind.
It's an hour and a half now, and we have the advanced poll, and the advanced poll was probably calculated, late this afternoon. So those numbers, they already had those numbers, but what I don't know what's going on with the other polls and why they're so slow in coming in.
Well, if we look at, I'm just curious what the total votes are. Like the poll numbers are not that big. Poll number 2 had 208 votes. Poll 7, 232. Like, it doesn't take that long to scrutinize.
So I don't know what's happening.
Well, we do have Ellen Mullally would like to have a recap on what the numbers were. So let me read that out again for everybody. I do have to take my glasses off because I'm old. I can't see with or without them. So let's just look at the PCs at the advanced polls. 408 votes. Liberals, 590. The NDP, 13. And the Greens are in the lead at 643. So 643 for the Greens, 590 for the Liberals. So a bit of a spread starting, at least in the advanced poll, which is interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and I don't know whether this is an indication of what will happen to all the other polls and what's going to be the final result at the end of the night. But it certainly has to have the Tories, the Conservatives, worried at their showing at this point in time, and it's got to be very nerve-wracking for Robert Mitchell as well, because
but he's still in it. 590.
He's still in it.
We'll see. Now, there's a comment came in that you'd be happy to hear, but I don't know if Ian Petrie's watching tonight. Hope he is. Ian was on a podcast with you a short time ago, and there's one comment suggested maybe they don't want like me, but I don't think that was a context, but they'd like to see you and Ian Petrie doing these political panels. So I'm happy to retire, and if you can get Ian back on.
We're going to do, Petrie and I will be doing more and more podcasts together every now and then. When there are issues that are really important, I'm more political. Ian's more resource-based. But that's what makes the island go around, really. And so Petrie does have a lot of knowledge, and
respected voices.
Yeah.
You two, it's funny, I was at the opening of the Come From Away, which is a great performance. If anybody hasn't seen it, I think I've seen it 4 times. So if you haven't seen it before, please get to the Confed Center and take it in. It's a really remarkable performance and very important now in the context of the geopolitical situation between the U.S. and Canada. People came up and mentioned to me about how great it was to see you and Ian Petrie together again. So you've got a following, and it's good to see you back in the airwaves.
Yeah, well,
different
it was good.
Airwaves.
Yeah, different airwaves, but it's still on the air, and I think it's a great venue, really, to talk about island politics and what's going on and issues. And these podcasts, they don't go away. Once we record them, they're there. You can watch them anytime. You can watch them for 10 minutes and shut them off. And
You're going to get about 2 hours of watching here before this.
Yeah, we may have to rerun the Petrie podcast.
Anyway, you're getting your money's worth tonight for sure. It is kind of an interesting night, and it's surprising to me, based on my expectations, how long it's taking to get these results to come in.
It's very, very astounding to me that we don't have. We should have all the results, and we should be walking out of here.
So just so people understand what happens, each of these boxes, which would be a poll, they're counted individually, and there's usually scrutineers.
Scrutineers, yes. Yep.
So they'll look meticulously, and especially in this election, because it seems like it's very contentious, they'll look at each ballot and contest it. If X is not in the right line, or if it's not clear who the vote is for, they'll set it aside and it'll be adjudicated upon. The fact that it's taking so long to get these counted, to me, might mean that there's a lot of question on the polls, and maybe there's going to be, we'll probably get a result here. It'll take a bit to get the result in, but there could be more discussion on the victor before this is all done.
Yeah. There's not really a lot of spoiled ballots that happen, and it's pretty obvious when somebody marks an X, who the X is for. But
if it goes outside the line, that's where you get into that frictional contest, right, with the scrutineers. Here's a comment that just came in that another media agency is reporting 60.87% 8% voted. That's close to 40% in the advanced poll. I guess if we were faster, we'd be doing the math on this too. But
That's all right.
if people want to do the math, we're going to do the talking. So you can pop it in, and we will hopefully not have to vet your calculations. But 60.87% voted, which is a lot. That's a big turnout for the advanced polls.
Well, that must be an election PEI number.
Well, it would be, of course, yeah. And if we were able to multitask better, we could probably pull that up on elections PEI. Still waiting for those numbers to change behind it, over your shoulder, and they're slow to change. Just looking for any updates from elections PEI, not seeing anybody. We do want to thank elections PEI for managing this and all of the different elections that they do administer on PEI as a neutral third-party body.
This delay really heightens the tension,
It's
And
how much coffee do you have in that jug?
It's all decaffeinated, so I can't sleep without unless it's decaffeinated. But I mean, it creates a lot of tension and expectations and drama and wondering, So give us a call. What are you wondering out there about the?
A few more polls are in. So there's 2 more victories for the Green candidate. And you can see that over your shoulder, John. I can read them out, or
you read them out. Yeah.
So we've got
those 2 more polls, and the Greens have
won both.
Won both, yes.
And there's reports online that the Liberals have won this. I don't know. Obviously, they wouldn't know that because elections PEI haven't released the results. But let's have a look. Poll number 1, the PCs got 29 votes, the Liberals 22, and the Greens 30. And then another poll is reporting 5, which is 16 for the PCs, 24 for the Liberals, and 41 for the Greens. So that's 3 polls reporting all 3 are for the Green Party.
Who's reporting online that the Liberals are?
I don't think it's a reputable source. I think it's just
No, because we're getting the up-to-date number.
This is accurate here.
From elections PEI, and this is.
Yeah, I think we'll stick to the accurate election PEI data.
Party people can say what they like, but these are the numbers, and they're coming in right now. As soon as elections PEI gets them, we get them.
Here's a comment from a former MLA from Summerside, Chris Palmer. He said, during the 2016 by-election in Summerside, the results were late because a vote was missing. It was in the flap on the bottom of the box, so it took a long time before they could tear the box apart and find the missing ballot that was stuck. So it could be anything that's happening, and I have confidence in election PEI that they're
I do
managing
too.
this, so.
I do too.
But they're starting to come in, which is what we've been waiting for, John. That's great. Yeah. So interesting.
Greens are leading in 3 polls, the 3 polls that have come in. So I would say there's a lot of nervous Liberals and Conservatives out there tonight.
Let's watch this.
So I see this.
I think the interesting thing about your commentary is you can look at what the results are and then translate that into how it's going to affect the parties. You've got, a lot of history on monitoring these things. You'll have a pretty good idea on what this means for the parties. Just looking quickly at these polls, they're not the largest polls, not surprisingly. They're historically not the biggest poll numbers, so they probably count quickest. So we'll keep watching that, and we're continuing to watch these comments. Some voter turnover comments, but nothing that's... lots of people watching. It's great. Islanders are interested.
Yeah.
And we're interested to hear what Islanders have to say. So if you would like to give us a call.
Now, if you're withholding your comment until after the final results, we're going to stay around for a little while. And because the big thing will be the sort of analysis of what happened and where the parties go from here, especially if this trend holds for the Greens. I mean, this would be a major upheaval for the Liberals and Conservatives and their future and their leaders' futures.
But not inconsistent with what we've seen from recent polls, especially that narrative research poll that just came out in June. So this could be just an indication of voter sentiment across the island. Let's just refresh, see if there's any changes. Nothing yet, but I think they're going to start to come in here pretty furiously. So
yeah, I would think so, yeah.
So we're an hour and 35 minutes into this by-election result. We thought we'd be about an
Quite
hour.
a marathon, really.
It really
You know,
is.
like
Yeah, it's a lot of talking.
usually general elections are over by this time. You know,
Yeah, well,
on PEI.
people are still staying tuned, so they want to hear what you have to say, John, which is great.
Well, we're still going to wait for the dust to settle. You know, I mean, this is a very important by-election. There's just no doubt about that. You know, what it means for the Liberals, Robert Mitchell and Rob Lance, I mean, those are going to be, it's not, you know, a make or break thing for Matt McFarland, but it certainly is for Robert Mitchell and Lance. So it's
an important by-election.
it's a very important
But
part.
it doesn't change the makeup of the House. There's still a majority government. There's no, chance that this won't be a...
No, but, you know, like, if my prediction is right, I mean, you know, that there's going to be a fall election. Well, it's a very important harbinger to what might happen in the fall, and what's going to happen behind the scenes for the parties as they reevaluate what happened here.
Got another poll in. Poll number 9. And I'll read that out for people. So the Conservatives got 41 votes. The Liberals got 24. NDP 1. And the Greens won this poll as well.
Yeah,
with
by two votes.
Yeah. So that's 4 polls reporting. And all 4 are are Green Party polls. So
4 polls, 6 left to come in. And this is very nail-biting, really, because it's... I can't emphasize them so much because there's so much at stake here for the parties and for Matt McFarland and for the Greens and for Tate Willow and
well, for the people of Cornwall, Meadowbank, which is one of the fastest growing communities in PEI
is.
as well. So, and that might be an interesting observation, John, when you look at maybe Kings County, where the population hasn't changed. In fact, it's probably decreased in the poll. The riding changes because of the population changes. Stratford is a dynamic
Stratford's growing dynamic.
Cornwall, dynamic growing. Summerside. But particularly in this Cornwall and Stratford, there's a lot of people moving in from outside of the area that may not have connections to the traditional parties, and maybe you're seeing that reflected.
It could be, yeah. And, younger people, commuting in Charlottetown. Again, going back to these issues that are very important to young families, and that's just, being able to make a living and having a future.
And these communities do have a lot of young families in them. That's the
Yeah,
growth
they do.
that's occurring. So,
And they're growing. And, I think they may be wanting a different type of politician, Maybe they like the appeal of the Green Party. Although I really haven't seen a strong Green platform from Matt McFarland yet. I'm not quite sure where the Green Party or Green government would take this province, but...
do you think it's the leader that's driving these votes out, or is it the candidate itself that's kind of the person that's... Because these candidates went to every doorstep.
Yeah, but McFarland, he was campaigning heavy in this. And he took his great showing in the spring session of the legislature into this by-election. He's really, trading on that. So... he will have a lot to do with the results in this election. Same with Robert Mitchell, but I don't know if we did see Rob Lance that active in that district.
Well, there'll be lots of conversation here in about 30 minutes, probably when these results come in. Just a note, and we are getting some great feedback, and I want to thank all the folks at Election PEI, Paul Allen, Tim Garrity. Gabby Boutelier, everybody who's working hard to get these numbers in, and really appreciate your commitment to get these results posted so that we can be entertained by reporting them.
Yeah.
And we have confidence in the accuracy and appreciate what Elections PEI are doing. Just wish you could get the abacus working faster because we're enjoying this, but we'd like to see what's happening on the ground. So, John, outside of this by-election, which we've talked a lot about, and the future of the leaders. We talked about the potential for an election, which you think will be sooner than later, ideally this fall. What would you expect will be the issues that Islanders are struggling with? So we talked about affordability, we talked about healthcare, we talked about economic development. What's just a quick snap if you were to say the primary issue? There's mental health and addictions. There's lots of problems that Islanders are facing. Is there one crystallized issue that you think that's going to resonate best with Islanders as parties prepare for the election?
But I really think it comes down to the economy.
We have another one just came in here, John. It's a big one, poll number 6. So I'll just read that one out for people. The PCs. It
is a big one.
It is a big one. So PCs 53, Liberals 60, NDP 6, and the Green 108. So the magnitude of these poll results are just piling up. And what it looks, there's 4 parties. 3 are very strongly contesting for the each poll.
Tate Millows now has 17.6% of the vote compared to 14.6 for Robert Mitchell and 11.14 for Kayleigh McDonald. So,
and again, this is a 3-party, which is different than what you would have reported on 20 years ago, where there wasn't 3 parties.
No, you didn't have a Green Party. You had the NDP were a stronger party back
True.
then.
Yeah.
They've been eclipsed by the Greens. So,
yeah. So, what's your thoughts? We see this now strongly.
This is a
coming
bad
out.
trend for the Liberals and the Conservatives and the NDP. This is a bad.
And it's a great night for the Greens.
It is
so far.
And when we covered elections in PEI with CBC, you always had an election desk, and they would call the election results and who was going to win. And I'm sure if we had an election desk here to look at the numbers and look at the trends and to call a winner, I'm sure we'd be calling the Greens and Tate Willow as the most likely candidate to win this by-election.
I don't know if you can do that, though, with the 3-party race, can you?
I think so.
Okay.
You're always making projections.
Did we do number 9? Is that popped in here? I'm going to read that out.
I think we did.
Did we? Okay. All right. So we've got, not including the advanced poll, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 polls reporting. Very exciting. This is going right down to the wire. And although the Greens are winning this, a couple of polls could change with the numbers the way they're
Well, I
split
suppose
up.
it could, because we saw that with Robert Mitchell in District 2 by-election.
Was that last
because
poll?
The last poll, the Georgetown poll,
which was a bigger one.
Yeah, the
They
big
held
one
it out.
went all towards Brendan Curran, and Brendan pulled it out.
So same thing could happen. This
Could happen.
Stay tuned, because although it's looking very strong for the Greens, 1 or 2 polls can switch this thing up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The election desk, decision desk could be long.
We're not going to make any determinations here. We do have a graphic somewhere. We're just in, I don't even know where it is. Here we go. This is not a, that's just for entertainment for those that can view it. It's a little visual. But let's keep watching this election PEI results, because that's the important thing to watch here right now. And these numbers should be changing, still the same. We'll keep refreshing, and we'll keep talking. And when there's a change, we'll interrupt whatever the flow is to bring.
Well, you've talked to Matt McFarland more than I have. What did you get a sense of where he wants to take the province, the party, what his policies are going to be?
It's a good, so in the podcast that we have, and we've had several conversations with the leaders of the parties.
Yeah.
The NDP leader did reach out and wanted to connect, and he's still welcome to. We've reached out to the PCs. They haven't accepted the invitation to come on. But we have had both Robert Mitchell and Matt McFarland on a couple of times, and they're both great. I would say my interpretation is the party are not really prepared to release policy at this point. They may or may not have it formulated because they don't know when the election is. I think what you would see from the Green Party would be a little bit of a divergence from where the party has traditionally been, not giving up their green values, but I think they've got to come more to the center. Things like what you've talked about in economic policy, because I don't think they can get elected without that. So there's going to be friction within the party, I think, too, to move from that traditional base. They probably can't win unless they do. And unless they come up with some policy that's going to align with Islanders.
Yeah, McFarland seems to be more pragmatic as a leader about what he has to do to take this party, to win a government with this party. He has to really, appeal to Islanders.
And that's going to be a bit of a policy shift away from the left and maybe more to the center. And all these parties, including the current progressive Conservatives.
Yeah, I really think Islanders, the economy is going to drive the next campaign, I think, and government management, the debt, and the size of public service, all those things, priorities,
And that's so important for the future of Islanders. And like you said, are your children going to want to live on PEI if they're saddled with debt and have some of these challenges lingering? Let's do another quick refresh and see if there's any changes. There's not.
Waiting for 5 polls to come in. So,
well, and still lots of comments. As soon as this wraps up, as John said, we'll stay online for a little bit. We'd love to hear from Islanders, and we'd love to hear from any of the parties, either the candidates or the leaders, because it's a great opportunity for them to come in and, regardless of the outcome, connect to Islanders through this platform and let Islanders ask them questions. So we look forward to that as well.
And it would be great to hear from them in terms of their interpretation of what's going on here, why the results are what they are, and when we finally have a result. We keep saying this, for Mitchell and for Rob Lance, it's their futures are very much on the line here tonight. There's no doubt about it. Maybe Robert Mitchell more than he really has to win this. But I think Rob Lance has to win as well, or the Tories have to win. And so far, the Tory party doesn't have a strong showing. And actually, they seem to be behind the Liberals.
They are, yeah. So the Tories right now have 11.14% of the votes cast. The Liberals have 14.66%, and the Greens have 17.61%. So there's a spread, but it's not an insurmountable spread as these other polls come in. And when I look at the numbers of the polls to report, they are pretty large ones, which is, maybe why they're slower to come in. So let's see. Still early. We could be here for another couple hours. So that hay may have to wait. Yeah. We could always take a break and come back in the morning.
Things are not insurmountable. You're right.
There's still some polls.
Sometimes I've seen this, and then you get so many polls in, and you know that's it, that nothing's going to change, that's the trend, and that's the way it's going. Now, we did talk about District 2 and that by-election and Brendan Curran's win. That seemed to me a real anomaly there when a last poll switches everything, because it was a big poll, Georgetown poll, conservative poll. I don't know if we're going to see that here.
I think this does show a trend. I think the Greens have
we definitely see a trend. The trend now, whether get McKinley back on the line, we could ask him about these
I think it'd
different
be great.
polls, and
maybe we can give him a call if he's still up. I'm sure he's watching this as closely as anybody. He's a keen political observer. If you missed it earlier, we did have Ron McKinley on right at the start of the broadcast. That would be about 2 hours ago now.
No, and he was talking about how well the Green Party and Tate Willows were campaigning and going over with the electorate. But he wasn't committing to anybody, but he just thought that the Greens had ran a very good campaign and had a very credible candidate.
You've got lots of fans dinging. We've got devices all over the place. I think we've got one more poll in here just popped in. What do we got? Poll 3. I think has popped in. So it's 34 votes for the Conservatives. By the Greens again. 43 for the Liberals and 55 for the Green. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 polls reporting. And all are being swept by the Green Party. Mm-hmm. So Tate Willow and Matt McFarland have to be pretty pleased at the way this is unfolding here at this time tonight.
So far, they've won all the polls.
And so the variance between them, the Liberals are at 15.53%. And the
3%.
Greens are 18.73%. So, yeah, that's
I think you're looking at a miracle if you want to change the trend here.
I think so. It's been pretty consistent. There's 4 polls to report, so let's not steal thunder from anybody, but it's certainly a pretty consistent trend and not inconsistent with what we have seen in some of the polls that have been out outside of this election, or this by-election.
And it's consistent with what we've been expecting and hearing, that the Greens were going to have a strong showing in this by-election. Everybody's talking about it being close. It's not that close right now, and but the feeling is that the Greens were definitely a force to be reckoned with in this by-election and could win it. And right now, that's where the trend is going. Now, if things change in the last few polls, doesn't happen that often. It might happen.
The numbers are building up. Let's look at the gross numbers. We've got the percentages, but let's look at the actual numbers, John. So the PCs are at 581 votes, the Liberals 763, the NDP at 20, and the Greens at 920. So 920 to 763. It's getting to be a bit of a margin. I don't know if that's going to be possible to swing that back for the other parties. So I guess we can't call it at this point. We'll watch.
I said if we were at
end.
CBC election decision desk, we probably would have called it quite a while ago. But
we
don't need to call it. But
I don't have a calculator.
The trend is but the trend is very worrisome for the Liberals and the Conservatives, and so there'll be a lot of people digging through the ashes here if this trend holds.
It probably will. I think there's going to be some late nights for folks.
And we talked about the knives being open or out and on sheaths
sharpened.
And sharpened, and big decisions will have to be made. That's just the nature of politics. When these things start falling apart, for a party.
Well, and you've seen lots of politics and lots of elections and lots of parties going through dynamics. So, still 4 waiting to report. So, let me check on election PEI, see if there's any feedback from the good folks there. Nothing yet. So we'll keep watching this, updating it, and sharing the results.
Maybe they're trying to increase the drama.
They're doing it for me.
Maybe they feel people are getting bored at home, so they're going to tease this out so that we can
keep us going.
More expectations and
we have
thinking.
Yeah, still 4 out. We did. I have. You can't see it in the camera probably, but we've got all kinds of data here to digest. I don't think we need to look at any of that. Let's just watch the results as they come in. That's the important thing to keep an eye on here.
So it's 9 o'clock, 2 hours, so almost 2 hours. Yeah.
So
almost.
If we were doing a full election, would it be much more than 2 hours to?
Sometimes it's sometimes it's much longer. But usually you pretty well know in 2 hours that what's going to happen, what has happened, and then there may be some close races here and there, and you're waiting for the final polls to come in, because they're counting and recounting and dragging their feet.
I think there's definitely some feet dragging at this point.
I think so too.
And Chris Palmer put a note in here. He commented that ballots are so crucial. If they get lost in the box, they take time to tear apart. But I think that's all part of the slowness of the process. Heels may be dragging, but
this is not the United States.
Well, there's no hanging chads in this one, thankfully. Yeah. We could have another podcast on that, I'm sure. I don't know, John. This is a compelling evening. It's interesting. This is kind of what I expected would be this sort of drama, and there's so much at stake. We sort of talked about that when we decided to do this podcast. It is important to all parties. It's not just the people who are putting their names forward. And at the end of the night, there's going to be 3 candidates that won't be successful. Yep. And they've still taken it upon themselves to campaign, work hard, knock on doors, connect to their community, and they're all committed to their communities. So everybody's a winner here tonight, whether they get a seat in the House.
I think that if the trend holds, we're looking at a Green win in this by-election. And that's why I think it's going to be important for those watching out there to phone us in and talk about where they see this going now from this by-election, what the parties have to do, what the Liberals and Conservatives and the NDP will have to do if this trend holds. And it would take some kind of monumental shift at this point to change things. It may happen.
Well, so let's say I think there's certainly a momentum here. What happens to your prediction of an election this fall?
That holds.
Do you think still got to go?
Yeah, it's more certain.
Okay.
If the Greens win this by-election, it'd be more certain the fall election. Because, the Conservatives, they say there's a fixed election date. But,
there's no...
There's really no fixed election date. There is on legislation fixed election date, but the governing party can go whenever they want to go. And, if you have to go, if the electorate wants it, all you're doing is increasing the damage to your party if you're holding back and you're not giving the people what they want, which is an election.
We have one more poll reporting, and it's another Green victory. So it's poll number 8, which is 38 for the Conservatives, 37 for the Liberals, and 54 for the Greens and Tate Willow. So another strong momentum for...
I think you better get Matt McFarlane on the phone and see if we can get him on the line here.
Okay, well, I don't know, Matt or Tate, if you're watching or somebody is with those people, then by all means, give us a call.
By all means, we're going to want to hear from Matt McFarlane. And I think he should want to talk to Islanders. This is this is a live podcast, but it's a podcast that is going to be out there forever, pretty well, not forever, but for years and years, and that people can come and listen to it. And for the next days and weeks, people will be able to come back and listen to this. And we're at that very vital, important point where a decision is going to be made and where people are going to be making prognosis about the future. And it would be nice to hear from Matt McFarlane or from Rob Lance on what he thinks the future is going to be for him and his party.
Or Robert Mitchell.
Or Robert Mitchell. I mean, all three leaders. Or from representatives of that party, say from Al Perry for the Liberals or Gordon McNeely. I'd put a call into Darlene Compton. I think that she's one of the senior voices within the Conservative Party. It would have the best idea about where things are going. I mean, if she's out there and wants to talk about the future of the party, where this is taking.
I'm not sure we're going to hear from anybody
Maybe not.
in the Tory party
But
tonight.
the opportunity is there.
Well, which is what the whole purpose of this. I'm not selling anything by this. It's a bit of an obligation, but it is important that Islanders have a say, and this is part of that opportunity. That's why we have the platform. And still 4 polls waiting to report. I'll just go over the percentage of vote. 3. Yes, 3. One more was in. So the percentage of the vote is the Conservatives 12.6, the Liberals at 16.29, the NDP at 0.43%, and the Greens at 19.83%. So,
it would be nice to hear from Robert Mitchell within the next 10 or 15 minutes when the last polls are in. I mean, I know he's going to be talking to party people and all that, and same with Rob Lance, because I think the whole caucus is meeting in that district tonight to watch the results come in. So it'd be nice to hear from those leaders right now on the air talking about where this leaves the parties, especially if there's a Green win. I mean, we've been sort of figuring that there's kind of gloom and doom for both Liberals and Conservatives, big major changes, but maybe the leaders don't see that. Maybe Robert Mitchell doesn't see that. Maybe Rob Lance doesn't see it that way. But if they've got a different interpretation of what seems to be the likely outcome of this by-election, well, then they should phone in and let us know what their interpretation of these numbers are, what they're hearing from the electorate out there, what voters want, why they're seemingly, marching towards the Green Party right now at this point in our history, where the parties went wrong.
And we're splitting it too. We've got 4 candidates now vying for this limited vote base, but the number again for people, if they do, we'll save this line certainly for the leaders. I only got 1 phone line in. If we had a whole deck of people taking the calls and putting them through, we could stream them. But 902-500-2464, if anyone connected to the parties wishes to give us a call, we'd love to hear from you. And then once the results are in, we'll open the phone lines up for Islanders until we have to go to bed, which probably won't be too long at the rate this is going. But yeah, we would love to hear from Islanders and their perspectives. And we're seeing lots of comments and lots of people engaged online. Apologize that the YouTube didn't work, but certainly Facebook Live is working. And we are going to be broadcasting this. It's recorded, so we'll be on Spotify, YouTube, Amazon, and Apple Podcasts. You can listen to us all summer long.
Yeah, you can relive this by-election. But, once the by-election is over, that's it. You don't go back to it, or not too much. Really, the value of this by-election is, well, if it's a Green victory, it's very valuable for the Greens. But the real essence of this by-election is what it means to the Liberal and Conservative Party and where they're going and what happens to their leaders. What message does Rob Lance take away from this? And Robert Mitchell as well. If Robert Mitchell... Many people thought he was yesterday's man, yesterday's politician, that he shouldn't have tried this by-election.
And it was a bit of a risk, too, because he ran
for him,
in Georgetown.
Every by-election, every time you go to the polls is a risk, but for him,
but it's not
it was more so.
It is, because it's not his riding.
Right.
He's trying to get in the House.
Yeah.
Very tough defeat.
And, it's a strong Liberal riding, because McKinley held it for 29 years, Ron McKinley, even though Mark McLean was the Tory who won it for that party.
So there's been a couple of changes here, John, which have just come in. Just poll number 2 and poll number 7, and I think that closes off the evening, were won by the Conservative candidates. So let's look at numbers 2 first. 78 for Kayleigh McDonald, 78 votes, 42 for Robert Mitchell, 1 for Craig Nash, and 64 for the Green candidate, Tate Willow. And then the same for poll number 7, also won.
It's the only 2 polls that the Tories have won.
Right, in the last 2. So those are the 2 they're holding off, I think.
Yeah.
100 for the PC, 68 for the Liberals, 2 for the NDP, and 77 for the Green. Well, there we go. So that's closed.
That's it. That's the Green win in this by-election.
24.1%.
5 percentage points above Robert Mitchell. Oh,
That's a clean victory. 2 polls.
It's a pretty astounding victory, because we had and I was expecting, things were going to be tight. I said that if I had to bet, I would bet on the Green Party, but I said things were really too tight to actually predict. But they're not really that tight at all. I mean, she's won all the polls except 2. The last 2 the Tories have won. So,
I watched her in that
Green MLA.
I don't know Tate Willow, but I watched her in that debate that the Chamber of Commerce held, and she seemed very relaxed and confident.
Yeah, I thought she was very measured and determined in everything she said, and very precise.
And I think that resonated at the doorstep.
Yeah, that she had a plan, and I thought she was very articulate. Mm-hmm. You don't usually hear that in a candidate where they are so firmly committed in their opinions and their stance. So
there you have it. A Green win for District 16, Cornwall, Meadowbank. We'd love to hear from any of the people involved in the process. So John has asked for the people, either the candidates. The problem with the candidates, they're going to be celebrating.
Well, yeah.
And so is the leaders.
Well, there's only one candidate going to be celebrating.
Well, they're going to be with their groups, though, commiserating or...
Commiserating, yeah. But, we don't have to hear from Robert Mitchell, but it'd be nice to hear from a representative of that party, the Liberal Party, same as a representative from the Conservative Party, about where this takes them. But it's not a good sign. It's full of...
What's a good sign
misery
for the
and
Greens?
missteps for the Liberals and the Conservatives, because they're now faced with some tough decisions.
The interesting thing, this poll, and we've seen a couple of these by-elections, they're at the discretion of the governing party. So the Tories coordinated this, held it.
Yeah, middle of summer.
I mean, it was
hoping for a
structured.
low turnout. Big announcement, $100 million
That's huge.
seniors complex at the beginning, hoping that
And a new ice surface, I think.
New ice or whatever, yeah. And,
Didn't work.
No, that's the old method of politics where you can
Buy your way.
make these big public works projects. And
Well, to your point, we don't have the money to...
no, we don't have the money, but people are also looking for ideals. They're looking for hope and a future and a vision and some ideas that are going to sort of revolutionize or change this province and make things better for everybody. And you have to really do that nowadays. And that's what I'm expecting in the next provincial election, that, there are going to be some big ideas, some big plans, big hopes and dreams that the parties will come up with.
They'll have to.
They'll have to. They're going to have to.
It's got to be
Tories
aspirational.
especially have to, I've said it before, Tories have to find a new leader, and now the Liberals have to find a new leader.
And you think, now you've
Both
said,
parties
you,
have to
you
find
have said that. You're pretty confident that's what's going to be the
Have
next
to be.
steps.
Yeah.
Election in the fall, 2 new leaders.
Yep.
And Mac McFarland sailing into the election with the momentum of this by-election
Possibility
win.
of a green government. If the Tories and Liberals can't get new leaders and get a new direction for their parties.
Well, we should send a formal congratulations out to Tate Willow in the Green
Yeah.
Party. And if anyone from the Green Party or any of the parties want to give us a call, we'll stay on, John, maybe another 10 or 15 minutes. If Islanders want to ask you any questions with your political expertise and background. The number is 902-500-2464. We do want to thank everybody who stayed patiently with us as we waited for these calls to come in, or the results to come in. Very exciting night from our perspective, and we're delighted to do this.
Well, I'd love to hear from the parties, Liberal and Conservative parties, and the Green parties too, but especially the Liberal and the Conservative Party, about how they view this year, these results. I mean, this is not good for either one. Spells doom for their leaders. Spells sort of dire consequences for what the parties have tried to put forward to Islanders. So how do they change? How do they pivot now, and how do they resurrect?
And will they? I mean,
Well, will they? That's a good question. Will they? Are they able to?
is there somebody who wants to take it on? If they, I mean,
in my mind, neither leader has a choice now. They got to leave.
right.
You know,
in this environment, though,
Mitchell could say he's going to stay on to build the grassroots party, but tell the Liberals to look for a new leader.
but Mitchell could do that. He's got a pedigree of working the grounds. He could get candidates. He could build it.
Try to do that, but make it known that there's also the party has to find a new leader. I think Rob Lance has to do the same thing. He has to get this Premier's Conference out of the way at the end of July, and then it takes a few weeks off and then goes away.
Goes for a walk in the snow.
Walk on the beach, maybe.
Well, but coming off the heels of that Premier's Conference, that I'd expect is a momentum builder.
No. It's in the middle of summer. Nobody's paying attention. Any big announcements will be made by Carney.
Right. And may not be made here.
And, Danielle Smith of Alberta Premier. There's going to be no big announcements on PEI. Maybe there might be, funding for interconnection cable. Yeah. But there's going to be no
momentum from this.
No.
Okay. I think that's probably something that Tories were really looking forward to building on, but I suspect you're probably right.
Well, they can forget that, I think.
So fall election, you're making the call here tonight?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why not?
Is Ron
Bold
McKinley,
prediction.
If he's still watching, maybe Ron's going to try to get involved in the next election.
Oh, Ronnie will be involved in the next election for sure. I mean, yeah, you can't keep him away from an election, but yeah.
And maybe Ronnie could give us a call if he wants to at 902-500-2464. What do you think? A couple more minutes, give people opportunity to send their comments in?
Yeah, I think so. I think you 2 minutes, we go off the air.
Okay.
I mean, we made the offer to the parties, main parties.
I think the other opportunity, John, we both have podcasts. I've got the Exchange podcast. You've got the Ideas podcast. This would be a great opportunity to talk to the people in the parties, either the leader or somebody from the party, to see what's next for each of these organizations. Yeah. And I think each of the four parties, but particularly the Greens, the Liberals, and the Tories, be really curious to see what they would say in a podcast. It's an hour-long format, as you mentioned. It's a great way to have a dialogue and really get some ideas out. So that would be great.
It would be great, yeah. Yeah, and maybe we could both do it, you and me,
sure.
And representative, leaders of the party.
Yeah.
An hour talking about ideas and where's it going.
where the party's going, where they see themselves going in the party, which is also a pretty important consideration. Somebody just asked for the total numbers, so let's go through them again.
Yeah, you go through them, yeah.
They're over
that's
John's
important to
shoulder,
go
but
through
let's review it. That is good. So I'll go through the total vote count first and then the percentages. So the total vote count for the PCs, 823, Liberals, 955, the NDP, 24, and the Greens, 1184. So the percentages of those votes would be Kayleigh McDonald with the Progressive Conservatives, 16.75% of total vote count. Robert Mitchell and the Liberals, 19.49%. The NDP, 0.49%. And the winner tonight, Tate Willow with the Green Party, 24.1%. So great victory for the Greens tonight. They've got to be happy with this.
They have to be happy with this. I mean, this is McFarland's getting a lot of momentum. He had momentum in the spring. He's taken the party in new directions. He's got to broaden it, maybe make it more palatable to Islanders. He's maybe lose some of that green agenda and more mainstream policies that work for Islanders.
And this could be the momentum boost to get him to attract new candidates, because he's still got some districts that he needs to get some new candidates in.
Oh, he'll get new candidates, no doubt about it. Yeah.
So that could be this could be a Green government in the fall. We'll see what happens in the next couple of months.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't think Carney's going to help this summer?
No. The Premier's Conference, I've been to them. I've covered them, in the middle of the summer. I mean, it's a lot of bureaucrats. Right. The national press will come in, but they're only going to be interested in what Carney has to say, what maybe Daniel Smith has to say, what Doug Ford has to say about Ontario, and what anybody says about Donald Trump, they'll be interested in. But I don't think Rob Lance will make any big statements about Donald Trump. Carney, I don't think will either. Ford might, maybe, I don't know.
He's still keeping liquor off the shelves. That's they're upset about that, and certainly in California, I think it's still hurting them. I want to thank people again for listening. I want to thank Elections PEI for taking the time to count these ballots and get them posted for us to report on them, which was great. Appreciate you coming tonight, John, and sharing your perspectives. And anything else that we want to touch on?
No, I think it's going to make for a very interesting time the next few months, and I still predict a fall election. I think it has to now. I mean, no doubt about it now. I don't think. I mean, it'd be crazy for the Conservatives to try to, eke their time out. What's going to be very nerve-wracking for the Tories and career determining is the results from this, going into a general election, the prospects of winning their seat again.
Right.
It just got a lot dimmer for the Conservative MLAs out there, and Conservative candidates, and maybe for the Liberals as well.
It's going to be, I think we'll have another political panel conversation here. It's going to be an exciting couple of months. And there's a lot of, Frank McCachran just posted that the percentage you're quoting are a percentage of the total eligible voters, not the total who voted.
I don't think that's right. That would be the total of voted. The percentage of the people who voted.
Yeah, the eligible electors, 4,912. The total vote, 2,990. So I think the percentages we're providing are the total that did vote.
The actual people who voted, yes.
Yeah. So that's great. Well, we're going to just tune things out here. Thank people for tuning in, and look forward to joining John. He'll be doing some podcasts this summer with the John Jeffery's Ideas, and I'll have a few exchange. In fact, we had Alex Doherty was on last week. Cowboy Mike Hughes is coming up for me next week. So lots of stuff happening.
I like Alex Doherty.
He's got lots to say.
Yeah, it was interesting when he said when he graduated from grade 12, said he just put his head down and went to work.
Yeah.
And that's what he's done. And he's done a lot. He's been very successful. Very successful.
Yeah, it's a great podcast.
Determination. I mean, he's got that island, down home, just earthy determination to succeed. And, I got a lot of admiration for him.
And he has been successful. He's done a lot of interesting things. Tune into the podcast to find out more.
Absolutely.
Thanks, everyone, for tuning in tonight, and we'll see you again soon.